like, dang, like I'm tired of being around my husband.
Okay.
Or I'm tired of being around my wife.
I don't get
that's
tired.
That's not like abnormal.
Because I have moments. Yeah. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I'll add that. Maybe he's like at a high and I'm just like, I don't have the energy to match you right now. But I feel like for the most part, yeah. But most of the time, because I actually need that has more energy. But I do feel like there are moments. There are times where like you're like really like giddy, happy, jokey, and I'm just like, okay, babe, like I just
leave me alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, even in those moments, I wouldn't want to have anybody else annoying me. Like it would.
I'm annoying you. I love this episode already. What's up, family? Welcome. Welcome to the Three Strands podcast. I am one of your hosts here, Anthony, and this is
Melody.
And yeah, this is the Three Strands podcast. This is episode 11 of the podcast, and today we're going to be talking about friendship and marriage. Are you excited?
Yeah.
A little bit, kind of.
Yeah, a little tired.
Yeah. So we're gonna try and get our I'm tired too. I'm trying to get our energy up.
Yes.
Energy up for the people. But before then, as usual, we're gonna have I'm not prepared. The random question.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
If you could have a super this is so lame.
Yeah.
That's lame. Not the superpower question. Would you rather be super strong, as in like literally you can lift a lot of weight, or be super flexible?
Flexible, because what am I going to do with the strength? You're not going to let me do anything anyway, so I would have it for no reason.
Or you'd be like super strong.
But you're still not going to let me do anything.
But like, protection, from yourself. Let's say you went to get your hair done. Some dude was walking up to you. You can just, do this and he'll do it.
But that's like one in like that's not like probably ever going to happen. So flexibility.
What would you do with flexibility?
I mean, imagine like when we have kids, I'm like in the kitchen and like the kid is like doing something they're not supposed to do, and I just like stretch my hand all the way and smack their hand to stop.
Babe.
Or I like catch them.
Babe, I'm not talking about superpowers. Flexibility as in literal ability to be flexible.
But isn't like super strong like a superpower?
I meant like, I didn't mean superpowers.
But like.
Question just murdered itself. Because I realized as you were talking, I'm like, she's describing Mrs. Incredible.
That's like, when you said flexibility, that's what I had in
No, not
head.
Stretching.
Oh.
Anyway, that was a fail.
I guess, what would I do with flexibility?
I'm just talking about literal human things. Like that we can do, people are flexible, people are strong.
I mean, regardless, my answer is still the same. I would prefer to be flexible because I don't need strength. I have a husband, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What would you want?
Well, I'm the husband, so I guess I need strength. So. Yeah. So I will come with a better question next time because clearly that was an L. But yeah, we're gonna dive into this topic today. And I kind of wanted us to start out with what we like when we think about friendship, in marriage or just in general. What comes to mind?
You start.
I should start. Oh my god.
See, this is an example right here of friendship and marriage.
I don't know about that.
Right there.
But
I guess that's my answer.
I think friendship, I don't know if like a lot of people may agree with this, but a lot of like the people that I see, and even in my personal life, um, up until obviously being married, the most intimate relationships that I've ever had were friendships. Like, and it might just be because of me, like how, my childhood was set up, but like a lot of my relationships were like, friendships were very high on the list, in terms of like the people that I basically considered family, even though like we weren't blood or anything. It was just like my friends, like they knew things about me that like a lot of people didn't know, that even my parents like didn't even know. And even with like my brother, I feel like a lot of people would see us and describe us as like best friends, opposed to like actually being brothers. And I think that was like a compliment, is how I viewed it. As like that was my brother is not just like a relationship that I'm forced to have. Like I would actually choose to be like, if Andrew was just Andrew, like I would just be friends with him. Andrew is my brother's name, if you didn't put that together. But anyway, yeah, so I think friendship and marriage, when I think about it, is like, if I strip, because obviously marriage is different than a normal relationship. So if I strip marriage of all of its, what makes it unique, what makes it different than just any other kind of relationship, at the core of it, there is this intimate desire to be with another person, and not just in a a romantic way, but literally like, I enjoy your company, like companionship, like having you around makes me feel better, right? Like basically I'm going to a party and I'm looking around the room to see if you're here. That's, to me, is what friendship is a intimate relationship with someone where they know you and you know them. So you feel known and they feel known. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, that's what I think about with friendship.
Yeah, I think I would agree along the same sense. I think the only thing I would probably add is like, there's a vulnerability in friendship and marriage that, when I compare it to like friendship with any other friend, like, yeah, my friends, like my close friends, they know everything about me, but they don't know it to the extent that my husband does. Like, he knows everything. Like, and there's a trust there. There's like I trust you as I trust myself. Like, there's a security in that friendship that I can tell you anything, no matter how crazy it might be, and I know that you're not going to like judge me, or like, you're going to like accept me for who I am, as I am also accepting you for who you are. And I think there's also like, when I think of friendship, I think of like just fun, and like we laugh a lot, and we like spend time, we enjoy each other's company.
Yeah.
And I think like that's kind of what, when I think of friendship and marriage, that's what I think of. Like the fact that I don't get tired of being around you.
And I guess to put as a caveat, if you're like, dang, like I'm tired of being around my husband,
okay,
or I'm tired of being around my wife,
I don't get tired.
That's not like abnormal.
Because I have moments. Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah. I'll add that. I have moments where it's like, your energy, maybe he's like at a high, and I'm just like, I don't have the energy to match you right now. But I feel like for the most part, yeah. But most of the time, it's actually me that has more energy. But I do feel like there are moments. There are times where like, you're like really like giddy, happy, jokey, and I'm just like, okay, babe, like
leave me alone.
Yeah. But for the most part, even in those moments, I wouldn't want to like be doing. I wouldn't want to have anybody else annoying me. Like it would.
I'm annoying you. I love this episode already.
Okay, the reason why he says that is because when we were dating, I used to hate it when he would say like, like you're annoying, or like, or I ask him.
I would just associate annoying with her in any way. If like I said like, oh, like that annoyed me, she'd be like, she would take it as her being annoying to me and would hate it.
Yeah, but
anyway,
I'm growing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was.
Yeah. So I guess the next segue that I wanted us to talk about were the benefits of a friendship in relationships or marriage, or just the benefits of friendship in general. I think they're obvious. We've kind of touched on them. Obviously, you have a companion, you have someone that you are doing life with. But I think maybe a not so obvious one is the idea of being seen. I think we obviously are growing up in a very individualistic society now, and so a lot of people don't really value community as much as they probably should, right? Like, I think the sayings of like, it takes a village to raise a child, or iron sharpens iron, like those allude to the importance of like, without someone else, whether that's just my wife or my friends, my brother, my sister, my family, without those people being able to speak into my life in some way, shape, or form, I would just be like, I wouldn't be shaped well, right? I think God speaks through people, right? Like a lot of the times when God is convicting me, he's speaking through my wife, or he's speaking through a close family friend, or through scripture. But either way, I need another person to bounce it off of, because I'm just me. So if my perspective is I'm doing the right thing, like I need someone who on the outside can be like, actually you're not, to be able to shape me or move me in another direction. And I think it also just keeps me less selfish when I'm hearing other people's points other than my own. So I think that's an obvious benefit of friendship in general. But in marriage specifically, I think on days like, on days where, like she said, like I'm annoying her, I think friendship is what can propel that. Obviously, love is at the heart of a friendship, right? You love someone, you literally have, like, you saw them and you just said, hey, I want to commit my life to you, in the sense of like, I care for you deeply, and I want to give you access to my heart in a way where no other people have access to it. And so I think on days where I'm annoying her, I'm a high energy when she's low energy, or whatever the case may be, because we're friends, right? Like, she can see through all of that. Like, I think, and I'll speak for me, I think when people just view romantic relationships as just lovers, on days where you don't feel that like romantic feeling, like what do you do?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how do I look at you and be like, hey, I love you on those days? Because I think what keeps the commitment alive is that, like, hey, irrespective like of all those like nice feelings, like I actually genuinely love you as a person. And if we are just sitting in a room talking, that is okay. And I think that's a benefit that a lot of people don't really talk about. So yeah.
I think a benefit of friendship that comes to mind is, I feel like marriage is just more fun when you're friends with the person that you're with. I think like being able to laugh with you, being able to like talk with you like for hours, like before we're trying to go to bed, and a conversation is sparked and we are just talking like for hours. I feel like there's just like a beauty in marriage when friendship is at the core of it. It's like it's very hard to get bored and tired of the relationship when there's a friendship. Like, there's an intimacy that's different than physical intimacy. There's like a genuine, like, we're like interacting with each other's minds. And it's like, I think it just makes marriage more fun and more enjoyable when friendship is there.
Yeah, I agree. So I guess taking the opposite side of the spectrum, what are some difficulties?
With marriage without friendship?
Or just with friendship in marriage?
Interesting. Difficulties.
Yeah.
Do you have any in mind?
It's interesting because it almost seems like a trick question.
Yeah.
Just because, obviously friendship, like you said, is a core part of what makes marriage beautiful. But I think the difficulty with friendship in marriage might just be the aspect that, like, because I actually like you, not just love you, because I like you, you can hurt my feelings very easily. And because of that, I am now in a place where I feel like I need to be very careful in how I react. Because with friends, right? And obviously I shouldn't do this, but with friends, people that I'm not, like, I'm not married to or have strong commitments to, I could just be like, hey, and, they offend me and I'm like, bye.
Yeah.
And then don't see them, don't talk to them for days. And that's cool because then the next time I see them, I've probably forgotten or, we just laugh it off or whatever. But in a marriage where I say, hey, you offend me, you're still here. Like you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that's the part where it can be difficult because now I'm forced to, and I guess this is, the difficulty doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but it means like now I'm forced to literally love you well. I have to love you through the fact that I'm hurt. And that can look like me communicating how I'm feeling and being like, hey, like, I don't really like how that was said, or this is my perception on what you just said and how I received it, and this is why it offends me. And then we have to go through that. Because if not, our marriage is almost at a halt in that point because I'm out here holding a grudge or feeling a type of way and you're just there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that can be a difficulty because it keeps you honest if you're truly friends. Like you can just hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
If we're just lovers and it's just almost like a partnership, right? You just be like, yeah, you give me what I want, I give you what you want. Let's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I feel like there's more freedom in the friendship because you could fully be yourself. Which means you could fully express what's on your mind.
Yeah.
Which can hurt the other person. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think another thing that came to mind while you were talking is that because you are friends, like sometimes maybe the feelings of the other person you don't take as seriously as like you would take like, someone who like you see as a significant other. Because I feel like when I think about like my friendship is like, oh, like maybe like they say something that because you're jokey, playful, like they say something and that really hurt that person. You're like, come on, I was just kidding. Like I was just joking. Like you should know this. But like, no, that actually hurt that person. And I think you have to be able to go from like friendship to like, oh, you're like the person that I love and I don't want to hurt you. Like just as you're saying. But like, I think there's a possibility that you might not take the other person as seriously.
But I guess let's talk about that then, because is that okay? Like, not even on a marriage level, but as friends.
Yeah, definitely it's not okay.
But I don't mean in the sense of like, should we be doing that, but more on why I guess we do that. Like, because why does it seem easy to dismiss a friend's feeling, but then with a lover you're like forced to be like, okay.
I think because it's a friend, you expect them to just understand that you weren't being serious. It's like you have the expectation that like, come on now, like I wouldn't try to hurt you, like don't make it a big deal type of thing, which is very wrong. If the person is hurt, they're hurt. But I feel like there's a possibility that you could like interact with that person in that way because you're like, we're friends, we know each other.
Interesting. But then with a marriage, you don't have the same expectation?
I feel like you're more careful, like with like a significant other. I feel like you might be like more intentional. I don't know.
No, I think there's something with what you're saying. I think what I'm just realizing that we probably make a marriage relationship more delicate than a friendship, as it should. Obviously, it's a higher commitment, to death kind of vibes. So it's obviously something that's more serious than just an ordinary friendship. But I do think it's interesting, that in a friendship I can just be like, come on, bro, like, I'm just messing around. And then in a relationship with a wife, I'm like, I can't do that. Yeah. Even though out of all people, you should know.
That do that though.
Yeah, and I think it's hurtful, just like it would be in any friendship. Like that would be a hurtful thing, as well. But yeah, I also kind of wanted us to segue into like, what are some ways to develop friendship? So like if someone is listening to this and I guess is moved to a new space, a new area, or is in a new relationship, or just got married, or whatever the case may be, and is wanting to understand how to develop a friendship, what to do. So, to answer my own question, I think one of the first things would be putting yourself in a situation where you kind of not trick your brain, but you kind of are training your brain to see them as a friend. So I think obviously going on dates and stuff is cool because that's how you grow in a relationship, is that you spend time together. But I think if you're only doing things that only romantic couples do, or only like, this is just meant for, oh my gosh, are you guys a couple kind of thing? If that always sparks that question, then it might keep things on that superficial, like romantic film level. Whereas with, just going out and playing basketball, or, playing a game of cards, seeing how competitive she is.
What are you trying to say?
What? Seeing how competitive she is, or how not competitive she is. Seeing how she gets angry when you win, or doesn't get angry.
This is sounding like you're saying
What's
specific.
What's up?
It sounds like you're saying certain things, like,
or just how happy she gets when she wins, whatever the case may be, right? This is obviously not about anyone in this room, but like if you keep doing stuff like that, the romantic leaves you. Like in that moment, like, not that you obviously are like not in relationship, but you just become into it's especially if you are a competitive person, or someone who just like what?
Nothing.
Someone who just enjoys like, playing games or doing things that you would do with like bros, or your friends. Like, you get to a place where you're naturally looking at them as a friend, and you grow that. I think it also exposes like a little bit of like possible issues that you could have interacting with each other as friends, because there is no romantic binding that comes as a result of playing cards, unless that's the kind of cards that you're playing. If you're just playing like a normal game of cards, like, I feel like you just naturally realize, dang, like, I actually really want to win much more than I actually care about her feelings. That's probably a problem. Or I actually really want to be right all the time, or I want to look the best or whatever the case may be, and it exposes those things. And as a friend, you have the choice of, do I want to surrender those things? As a spouse, you obviously have that choice as well. Do I want to surrender those things, or do I want to still just selfishly, have what I want? Which I think is a way that you can develop it. Is just doing things that friends do, right? There's always going to be things that you can do as a couple, but things that you can do as friends exist as well, and doesn't mean that you neglect it because you guys are now thinking a romantic way. Yeah.
One that comes to mind for me is being vulnerable. I think when I think about our relationship, I think what makes our relationship so deep is the fact that we are like very willing to be vulnerable with each other, like share like the things that maybe it's hard for you to share because it's like, I shouldn't be feeling this way or I shouldn't be thinking these things. But like we are both very open with each other, and I think that vulnerability allows us to be friends as well. Like, like the worst parts of me, everything about me, and yet you still choose to love me and like be in this relation. I mean, you married me, so now you ain't got no choice. But but like the love is still there despite like every thing. And I feel like that vulnerability is so important. Like, how can you be genuinely friends with someone if you're not willing to like be vulnerable and open up yourself to it? And yeah, I feel like vulnerability is a big part of friendship.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of that a little bit, I think obviously in any good relationship, vulnerability is what allows it to grow because it creates transparency. So I know that my wife loves me. I trust that she loves me, but because she is, we probably wouldn't consider this vulnerable, but because she is vulnerable to say it and show it, I know even more, right? And I think it builds that kind of relationship. And I kind of also wanted to share that, like, if you're in a space where it almost feels as if your romantic life, if you're a couple, your romantic life and your friendships intertwine very easily, that's a good thing.
Yes.
I feel like.
Yes.
If it doesn't feel like you can separate the two, I think you're in a good space. Yeah. I would think, just because I think we are called to love our neighbor as ourselves, and our wife, and obviously your husband is your neighbor, and so there isn't like a discrepancy. Those things aren't different. And for people who are single, who are have friendships, I think you obviously also have a task of loving your neighbor, and the context always matters. How I love my wife versus how I love another female friend or whoever is drastically different, and should be different because the context is different. Yeah. And so that's something to always remember. I thought the camera just died.
When you paused, I was like...
Yeah, sorry. That's something to always remember, is that context matters. And I think friendship is something that God has blessed us with, because it allows us to be able to share in the abundance of life that He has given us, with the different things that we all have, all the gifts that we have, and just the different personalities that we have. So yeah.
And like, I don't know, the verse when God, the verse that came to mind right now is when God created Eve as a helpmate for Adam. I feel like friendship, like when He created Eve, He didn't create her with just like, fruitfulness and multiplication in mind. He also created Eve as like a helpmate, a support mate, someone to do life with, a companion for Adam. So I think like, even to God, friendship within marriage is very important, and it helps like, the marriage, it's like a core pillar in marriage. And
yeah, I think even in a way, like, our friendship with God is important to Him as well. Like, He cares that we are friends to Him, we don't just see him as,
master, creator.
Yeah, we see him as someone that we can confide in, someone that we can like be vulnerable with and open to. And I think that's a friend. Yeah. What a friend we have in Jesus. Thank you guys for watching episode 11.
If you watch this all the way through, drop a blue heart.
Ooh.
We'll see if people really watch it.
A blue heart?
Yes, a blue heart.
Dang.
If you got to the end of this video, even if it's just one of y'all.
Yeah, we love you.
We love you. Real love right here.
For real.
So drop a blue heart so we know that you actually got to the end of the video.
Yeah, and while you're there, like, subscribe.
Share.
Yes. Comment the blue heart. And yeah, just give us any ideas on what else you would like us to talk about. And we pray that this was fruitful for you, as it was fruitful for us. So we'll see you guys next week.
See ya. Bye.